How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist? Now, some people might think of this as a joke, but this is actually a very serious question.
The truth is, you will always point your finger at black people because that's what you do. That's what white supremacists do. And you, sir, are a diehard white supremacist. You will always be pointing your finger at black folks, and you will never point your finger at white people. You will never point your finger and acknowledge what we've done in the most serious way without a big fat deflection, without a big fat denial, without a big fat butt in it. You need white supremacy because that's your fucking crutch. So the difference between white people and black people is you, sir, and your people, my people, white people, are morally inferior race because we continue to support, uplift, and enable white supremacy. That's our fucking crutch, and that's why we're inferior morally. And that's why you will never, ever acknowledge all the shit that white man has done to black people today and yesterday. Absolutely no question about it. The black people, all black people would be thriving if it were not for the white man. The white man has stolen every single resource out of Africa, including people. Human trafficking, enslavement, colonialization. They have robbed, raped that continent of every single resource imaginable. Absolutely. If white people did not exist, all black people would be thriving. That goes without question, as would all indigenous people and most brown people too. It was the white man's greed. It was the white man's genocide, the white man's enslavement, and the white man's colonialization that fucked this world up. And that's one thing that white people have never understood, was because of the damage the white man caused. Remember this, the white people, white man has always been disagreeable in times of peace.
There's no boycott, economic blackout, or strike that's ever gonna work without the black community showing up. We are the number one consumers in this country. We are the majority holders of the jobs that run this place. Part of our oppression is keeping us in these diabolical low-waged positions. A part of our oppression is keeping us in these jobs that are going to be taxed the highest rates. And unless black Americans join in, there's no way we will ever get any movement to work. Black America, I am calling out to you because I know without you, we won't win this battle. A revolution will never happen without black Americans joining in. And everything that is going on right now is detrimental to our community. I know you've heard about the People's Sick Day. I know you've seen it come across your FYP. So why haven't you joined us yet? You know this won't work without you. And if we don't do this, our children will suffer the worst fate of this in the end. These jobs we hate, they'll hate them more. These loans we can't get, they'll get less of. These schools they underfund will be more underfunded. Without our efforts, there's no way we will fix this, and our children will suffer the consequences of it the most.
So I just watched the show Them on Amazon Prime. Very traumatizing and triggering show. I literally cried for 2 hours after the Cat in the Bag episode. I'm still fucked up about that shit. A show that all YT people should watch, since they like to pretend that, you know, racism doesn't exist and things just happened so long ago, even though they're happening right now. And it just made me think about how, you know, you have people getting lip injections and tanning their skin to the point they look like alligators, and they have leather skin and they look like a freaking belt. Even though, you know, when you have a lack of melanin, every time you tan your skin in UV rays, you're causing yourself skin cancer because you don't have melanin. And how they go and get these perms and they're blackfishing, and how all of our culture, clothing, music, food, if you even go on social media, everything is revolved around black culture. And then you take it even further back to Europe, when the Europeans didn't wash their ass. They were eating rats. They didn't even know how to grow any food. Like, they didn't know how to do shit. Also, us cave dwellers would not even exist if it wasn't for black people, because they were the first people on Earth. Like, YT people wouldn't even be here right now if it wasn't for black people. Because of the bubonic plague, because they didn't know how to feed themselves, they didn't know how to wash themselves, they were living in caves. Like, black people literally taught them agriculture, literally taught them how to bathe, literally taught them how to fucking survive, taught them everything. And again, we wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for black people. Like, our great granddaddies and grandmamas once upon a time were black because they were the original human. So we come from black people. They created us. They're dominant, so we obviously wouldn't be genetically superior. Obviously, when even rock and roll and Elvis, and we found out Beethoven was black, but all of the music has been stolen from black people, all of the art, all of the inventions. They're strong, they're athletic. That's why, you know, these YT team owners love to exploit black athletes and make their money. And young talent, the dancing, obviously, the music, the talent, the dancing, the strength. Back in the day, they didn't know where to find water or how to grow food, so they exploited black people's greatness. They were like, damn, we can't stay outside in the sun for hours and hours doing this shit because we'll literally die. Like, we need them to survive, is what white people said. You know how you have a parasite and every parasite needs a host? YT people have been the parasite and black people have been the host. The same way males created sexism to basically exploit the greatness of women. Because we can all go to a sperm bank and get sperm. There's tons of sperm. There's endless amounts of sperm. We don't need males to reproduce. We just need the sperm. And we got it. So, you know? But even if you take an egg from another woman, you still gotta put it inside of a woman to reproduce. You still need a human body of a woman, biological woman. You still need the womb and uterus of a human being that was born female, where we can just go to a sperm bank and get some sperm. You really need a woman to reproduce. We don't need you to reproduce at this point. So, clear people, YT people, realized they need black people to survive. And instead of oppressing and exploiting black people, when all black people did was be nice to them more than they fucking should have, since based on what we see now, you should have let them motherfuckers eat rats. I don't even care. You should have let my ancestors eat rats and shit on themselves and not wipe. You should not have helped them. I swear you should not have, because look at the ungratefulness. Then you have the audacity to try to turn people into slaves and exploit them and use them when they were literally trying to fucking help you. They were trying to help you. And this is what the fuck you do to them? And it's the same with women. Racism was created to exploit black people and native people. And sexism was created to exploit women. Like, this goes to show you can't do nothing for no one, bro. You give an inch and motherfuckers take a mile. YT people know that they're nothing without black people.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you so much for always coming back and tuning in. So guys, I want you guys to continue watching this video whereby really argument between the black white people. They are really viewers after the video, really arguing that having the strong bond, and also I can see why this video is getting attention. The argument is that black Americans have played a much big role in shaping America's success than many people realized. And so far, they are really building a pretty interesting case. Now, before we continue, if you are enjoying this discussion, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I want to hear from you as we watch the entire clips. Do you agree with what the video is saying so far? So let me know down in comment section about that video, but don't go away yet, because I think they are building towards an even bigger point. So let's continue watching a little bit these clips, and then until the end, then I'll come back with my full thoughts everything. So let's work together.
Let me break something down for you, right? America is not just a country. It's a machine, every piece of it. The government, the corporations, the banks, the military, the schools, they're all gears working together to keep this engine running. But here's the truth that they don't want you to realize. This machine does not run without us. Black people have been the engine oil of America since 1619. We built the infrastructure, we picked the cotton that funded Wall Street, and created the culture that powers the world. We are the rhythm, the labor, the innovation, the humanity that keeps this whole thing from rusting apart. And now under Project 2025, that same machine is being redesigned, not to include us, but to use us quietly while pretending we don't matter. They're trying to rebuild America into a system that looks free on paper, but functions like a modern plantation, where your work is necessary, but your freedom is optional, where your voice is legal, but your influence is erased. That's what this Trump regime won't say out loud. They don't want America to look racist. They just want it to function that way again. They don't want segregation signs. They want segregation through policy like housing and wages and education and even access to the truth. See, every machine needs two things, right? Power and control. And Black America has always been the power. That's why they fight so hard for the control. They can't risk us realizing how valuable we are, because if we ever moved in unity, this whole engine would have to be rebuilt from the ground up. But here's the part that they have not calculated for. We're not just workers in this machine anymore. We're becoming engineers. We're creating our own businesses. We're building our own schools. We're mastering technology and globally connecting to Africa and the diaspora. We're learning how the system works so we can build one that works for us. And let me tell you something else. If America ever tries to run without us, without our creativity, our moral compass, our spirit, it'll run loud, but it won't go anywhere. Because without the people who built it, the machine breaks down. So my message is simple. Don't fear Project 2025. Understand it. Because once you understand how this machine operates, you can stop being a cog and start being a creator. You can stop asking to be accepted and start designing your own future. Because the truth is, America needs us far more than we need it. And when that realization becomes collective, when we all start moving like we know our value, no president, no project, no policy can stop what's coming next.
America doesn't exist without Black Americans.
That's just facts. Built this whole damn country for free. Every brick, every rail, every road laid with blood and sweat that never got a paycheck. And what did they get in return? Chains, whips, red lines, nooses, Jim Crow, COINTELPRO, prisons, knees on necks, bullets in backs. Ain't no other group forced to love a country that hates them like this. That's strength. That's America. 400 years of free labor built the economy. Cotton alone was worth $3 billion in 1860. That is trillions today. Wall Street, founded on slave trade. The White House, built by enslaved hands. Every dollar ever printed got Black labor backed into it. But tell a racist that and they act like it's a history opinion. They fought in every war. Crispus Attucks bled first for this country in 1770. Black soldiers saved America in the Civil War. Hell, World War II fought Hitler while getting lynched at home. Vietnam drafted in disproportionate numbers. The thanks they got: GI Bills blocked, housing loans denied, neighborhoods flooded with heroin by their own government. Look it up. And you still got racists yelling, "Go back to Africa," like they ain't the original stolen property. Malcolm X said it best. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us. Ain't that the truth? Black folks got every right to hate this place, but they stay. They fight. They create. They revolutionize. America wouldn't exist without them, and it damn sure would collapse without them.
There's one comment of somebody saying that I'm mad because white people own black people. First of all, I'm gonna keep it a beam with you, bro. Black people didn't need white people. White people needed black people. Let's be honest. You guys traveled 6,000 miles to go get black people out of Africa. It didn't happen the other way around. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, white people tried to enslave white people. It didn't work because they kept lying. Niggas are useless even as slaves, bro. That's crazy work.
To all the white people who say, if it wasn't for colonization, we wouldn't have technology, you wouldn't have this phone right now, you wouldn't be on the internet right now, etc., etc. One, not true. There was plenty of technology and mathematical and health and so many advancements prior to colonization, and all the Europeans saying, oh my God, this is so cool, I'm gonna burn it all down because I didn't make it. You know, just besides all of that, I would rather not have this phone, not have internet, not have access to any modern day technology if it would mean that my ancestors were not enslaved. I had the community that I was supposed to be born into. I was on the homeland that my ancestors came from. I had access to the cultural, spiritual traditions and customs that my ancestors took part of. I had access to the language that my ancestors took part of. I had access to the community that my ancestors were a part of. I do not want this shit. I do not care for this shit. I am not grateful, and I will never be grateful that my ancestors were enslaved. So you can take all of that and shove it up your ass. Thanks. Goodbye.
The only reason that white people in the United States or anywhere we are, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, in Israel, wherever we are the colonizers. We are the colonizers, and we live off the expense of the assault, Europe's assault on Africa, the kidnapping of African human beings, the trafficking, all of these things that we hear today. This is where it came from.
I always thought that white people hated black people because they was taught to be haters from a young age. Like they took a curriculum, like their parents gave them curriculum of why to hate black people and how to hate black people. And a lot of it comes from like fear. Like they fear black people for some odd reason. They fear us. And for them to do harm or to unalive a black person, it makes them feel brave and courageous, right? But they always got to do it in a group. Like they too scared to do it by themselves. For the most part, you know, some gonna do it. Some will go at a black person one-on-one. But for the most part, most of them have to have the presence of others to feel that courage. You know, but come to find out, it's deeper than that. Like, it's not just because they were taught to hate black people from a young age. Like, that's part of the reason, but that's not the full reason. Like, it's a addiction that they have to black people. They did a study on the brain of a racist, on the brains of racist white people. And they found out that their thoughts rush like a person that has an addiction. So they have rushing thoughts about black people because they are addicted to black people. Now this gave me a totally different perspective on like what they actually feel towards us. They're actually addicted to us. And they don't like it. They don't like their addiction to black people. Ain't that something? They want to be just like us. Like they love the way that we dress, the way that we run fast, jump high, how strong we are, you know, our charisma. They like everything about us, and they hate it at the same time.
That white people need us to survive?
Hell yeah, without melanin, they can't survive. Matter of fact, if you look at the statistics, white people are dying right now. Mm-hmm. They are dying more than they're repopulating. Mm-hmm. And that's why so many black people are coming up missing. Notice they're getting all of these different type of melanin shots inside of them. They're trying to deal with the sun more. Right now, with all of these heat rays and how the sun is heating up and all of the ultraviolet infrared rays is coming from the sun, man, white people are dying globally from skin cancer. The sun is beating they ass. I mean, literally especially in Israel. Look up the sun cancer epidemic in Israel. Man, the sun is whooping they ass.
Didn't know that.
But they need melanin. For the sun can charge them and make them supernatural like it does us. We are supernatural people. We are an eternal people. We really is.
We the reason America. Not just with the Civil War, brother. Let's go before the Civil War. Let's go to the Louisiana Purchase. Do you know that this country is 3 times the size it was? Because the Haitian Revolution went to Saint-Louis Overture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Christophe and Pétion and Cécile Fatiman and Boukman and Macandal, when they destroyed Napoleon's army, a slave army defeated the greatest general the white man ever had. An army of slaves defeated the greatest general the white man ever had. And because the Haitian Revolution bankrupted Napoleon, he sold his American territories to America for pennies on the dollar.
I remember that.
The Louisiana Purchase loan
yes.
quadrupled the size of the United States of America. So when I tell you America wouldn't be America without black people, America wouldn't be America without black people.
That's a fact.
America has no culture. That's why it's greedy. That's why it's by itself. That's why it's hated. It has no culture. Everyone that comes here comes for one reason: greed. It's the only reason they come here, and they leave everything behind. Everything. Their land, their culture, their family, their relations. It's pathetic. We're prisoners of war. Legally, that's what they won't tell you that. But in order for them to continually violate their constitution and their treaties with us, we have to be prisoners of war. Okay? So the whole idea of what Guantanamo and Bagram comes from Indian reservations, just like the Nazi, what Hitler called the labor camps. That he wrote, the United States of America has a great idea. Apartheid in South Africa, that came here. The West Bank, the whole strategy of the Israelis comes from America, because it's an outlaw country. It always has been an outlaw country. It's evil to its own people, and they don't see it.
Immigrants did not build America. Slaves and their descendants, Black Americans, built America, like quite literally with their hands, okay? Let me explain to you the issue with Shaboozey's Grammy speech. Let me start by saying that immigrants have greatly enriched this country, okay? We would not be where we are without them. However, they did not build America. And I think this is such an important distinction to make during Black History Month, because the comment, immigrants built America, is rooted in the erasure of Black contribution, okay? Specifically, Black American contribution, however involuntary it was. I understand that Shaboozey was coming from a good place when he said that immigrants built this country, but historically and factually, it is incorrect, baby. Chattel slavery built this country, and it is important to recognize that. People don't want to talk about slavery, but the reality is that slavery in the cotton economy is what gave America its legs, baby. There would be no America without slavery. The enrichment that is immigration did not come until significantly after slavery, right? Slavery dates back to the 1600s, girl, okay? All the way until 1865, where we get the Emancipation Proclamation. And even after this point, there were some Black people who were still being held captive as slaves because they just didn't get the news yet, girl, okay? So when you think about that, how long slavery spanned, okay? And the fact that we get ushered into Reconstruction and Jim Crow, and slaves are now repurposed as sharecroppers, right? Or repurposed into roles in which they are only good for service. They are only good for
you know, functional positions that help prop up the country, not actual careers, not anything actually profitable. Like literally, Black people simply migrated from slavery into something else until we get into the civil rights era. For the people who think that we're arguing semantics, not only is this an important distinction to make so that we are recounting American history and Black history accurately, but also because the suppression of Black history, the erasure of Black history, okay, is what leads to the repetition of these atrocities, not on Black bodies, but onto others. And this idea that Black history and American history, when it repeats, that it's going to repeat with the same people, it does not. It does not. And I think we're seeing a little bit of the proof, but that will never, ever, ever change the fact that the biggest and greatest group affected by American history, affected by the American plight, and that actually built America is Black American descendants of slaves.
White people ultimately don't need other races in order to succeed, in order to be ourselves. Absolutely not.
So how do you think America became the greatest economic nation without...
Not through Black people.
Oh, it wasn't? It wasn't because of free labor?
Are you talking about slavery?
No, I'm talking about slavery and also what happened after slavery, which Douglas Blackmun talked about, slavery by another name. So I'm trying to understand, when you say didn't need it, how do you think America became the greatest economy that it did? How do you think that happened?
Through the genius of Europeans.
How was the genius of Europeans when the fact of the matter is it was actually King Cotton that supplied the economic means for America to do so? And that was a result of free labor from Black people.
Look, the whole point here is that who creates these systems, who creates these business models and businesses?
Slavery was a business model?
Well, yes, it was a business model.
I asked you again, okay? You said we don't need anybody else.
No.
But the reality is, American history proves you wrong. The fact of the matter is, there is no great America. You can't sit here and talk about that greatness without other people making that happen.
The world doesn't respect Black people because we haven't done enough crimes against humanity. And I will explain. So tell me if I'm crazy, tell me if I crack the code. I have stumbled upon another TikTok of this time about an African-American woman. It's always African-American people being discriminated against, being followed around, having to deal with slurs in countries that we don't even visit that much, countries that we have little to no history with. And we're constantly asking in the comments, what the fuck did we do? What did we do? We didn't do anything to them. And I think that's the issue, is that we haven't done anything to them. I'm starting to think that these different countries, these different continents only respect crazy crimes against humanity, and we have yet to do that. Like Japan, for example. Japanese people tend to have a respect and a reverence for the same group of people who did Hiroshima. Yet we're an issue, right? I feel like we don't get respect the same way that henchmen don't get respect on Batman. You feel me? It's like just a quick little obstacle to get over. There's much more reverence and much more thought going into and much more time taken to figure out how to take down Joker, how to take down Penguin, how to take down Clayface, because they're a bigger threat and there's more story to them. No one gives a fuck about the henchmen and their little petty crimes. Batman just swoops in, breaks their arm, and leaves. And I think that's the issue. If you notice, when people complain about Black people, they're always saying, you guys are always looting and loitering and shooting at each other. You're all gangbangers and da-da-da-da. And mind you, all those are crimes against each other. We don't go outside of our neighborhoods and fuck with other people that don't look like us. If we're gangbanging against somebody who looks just like us on the other side of the same neighborhood. It's never us affecting other people, and I think that doesn't get us respect. Why would I respect people that are stealing out of stores, stealing out of malls, stealing out of gas stations, when my people steal whole countries? We steal people. We steal your ideas. We steal your children and sell them off, and I'm supposed to respect you because you stole a fucking candy bar? You're small time. And I think the moment that we start getting up and, ooh, let me be quiet, I'm saying too much, but you get what I'm saying.
Tell you what I understand racism to be. Racism is a behavior system that is organized because white people are a minority on the planet. They are a tiny minority of the world's people. The black, brown, red, and yellow people are the world majority. Not only that, white people are genetic recessive in terms of skin coloration. Do you see somebody like whose skin is white, if they have sexual relations with a black person, the product is colored. And there is the fear of white genetic annihilation. It existed in Europe, it existed in Germany, it exists here today. If we understand the white fear of genetic annihilation, which was why Willie Horton could be used as a very profound symbol by the Republican Party to win its election, then we will understand what is happening to the black male in this society. The black male is the threat to white genetic annihilation. And so he is profoundly attacked in this society. And if we begin to understand that, we understand what happens to the black family. If you remove the father, then the son is wandering around confused, doesn't know what to do, will get together in a gang, and ends up being depressed, getting on drugs, and going to prison. And in the United States, in Washington, D.C., I believe we have the second highest incarceration rate, second only to South Africa. And so in South Africa, you have black men in the work camps, and the women on the Bantu stands, and here we have the black men in prison and the women in the projects, and the male children going unfathered. Now, I say that racism is responsible.
There are not enough white men in America to drive GDP for the next 20 to 30 years. Not enough successful white men. And it's not a racial comment. It's not a political comment. It's just good common sense. It's demographics. Demographics are destiny. It wasn't a attaboy to white people, and it wasn't a diss to black people and brown people. It was a statement of a material mathematical fact that demographics are destiny. And for the first time in history, there's just not enough successful white men to drive gross domestic product for the next 20 or 30 years. If we don't include everybody in this economy, we're going to be, within 20 years, a nation who used to lead the world. We will not be the sole superpower. We'll be speaking Mandarin or Russian or some other language because they want to be us. And we won't be able to grow the economy without including all of God's children. Women, minorities, they're going to be a majority of this country within 10 years. And my rich friends need my poor friends to do better, if only to stay rich. Like literally, for the first time, we're all in this thing together because 70% of GDP, gross domestic product, is consumer spending. And there's all this discussion about, merit. Yeah, look, nobody's going to succeed long-term unless you're smart. All right, you can get a break, but if you're dumb, you can't do the job, you're out, right? Capitalism's a gladiator sport. You don't survive unless you're good. But also, relationship capital is a real thing. If you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. I see all the time the benefits of having the right class involvement, class structure, social environment. How many times somebody get a job because they caddied for somebody, or their father, knew the right person. They made a phone call for them, or you went to the right school, you went to Harvard or Yale or whatever, and you became buddies with somebody who became the CEO, and you became the CFO because you're an average student, but you knew the guy. And that's not racism. It is discrimination. You discriminate against somebody else to hire somebody that you like. By the way, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's an is. That's the way the world works in many ways. It should never be racism based. But people make choices and they discriminate as they're making discriminating choices, right? And what I'm saying is that those choices have to increasingly have a lens that opens up that says, there's probably a Steve Jobs in the hood. You know that NASCAR came from moonshine running, by the way, in the Appalachian Mountains? By the way, that's literally true. It was poor, struggling whites who were running from the police. They realized that was not going to work. So they realized they were great race car drivers. And so they focused on what they could do well. They were ostracized from society. They were dismissed as important. And now those same families are worth hundreds of millions of dollars 4 or 5 generations later, and are highly respected in society now. That's NASCAR. Well, what don't you think that there is brilliant talent in every inner city and low wealth neighborhood or so-called poor group or left behind group? This country is all about going from the bottom to the top. That's my book, my 5th book, Up From Nothing. And I believe with the right tools and the right laddering effect, we can grow GDP 3, 5, 10% more than what it is right now annually. And that is the goal, is we're better together. And that's what I believe. That's what this piece says, and I dare anybody to give me math that competes with this. I have no idea, if we don't embrace this, how this country continues to lead. We can have a debate all we want. There's just not enough white men to go around. God bless. Peace.
Unpopular opinion, but I think that integration was one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the Black community. I think separate but equal would have done just fine, but being integrated with people that hate us was never a good look for our community.
All right, welcome back again. Now that we have most of the Daily Creators argument, let's talk about it. One thing that stands out throughout this video is the claim that Black Americans have been central to the American economy and cultural success. The video points to the history, labor, culture, consumer influence, and community contribution as an evidence. Whether someone agree with every point or not, it's difficult to deny that Black Americans have had a major influence on American society. When we talk about culture alone, the impact is enormous. Music, sports, entertainment, fashion, and many social trends have been shaped by the Black creators and communities. The video also spends a lot of time discussing economical contribution. His argument that many systems benefited from the Black labor and participation, while Black community themselves often faced barrier that limited opportunity. Now, different people will have different views on that argument, but I think it's important to separate emotions from analysis. History is complicated, economic systems are complicated, and discussion about race often become emotional very quickly. That's why I think the most productive part of the video isn't necessarily the critics of the past, it's their focus on the future. The creator repeatedly talks about the ownership, unity, economic empowerment, and community building. And honestly, those are ideas that can benefit any community. Building businesses, investing in communication, creating opportunities, supporting local entrepreneurs, those things create long-term change. One thing I've learned is that recognition alone doesn't always create progress. Real progress often comes from the ownership, investment, and creating values that last for generations. That's why I think so many people connect with this video like this. They are not just talking about history, they are talking about what community can do moving forward. Another thing I found interesting was the discussion about cultural influence. The creator believed that Black culture has become one of the most influential forces in modern society. Many viewers will probably agree with that. Others may think the argument is overstated. But either way, the influence is insignificant and impossible to ignore. At the same point, influence and economic success are not always the same thing. That's why the conversation eventually comes back to ownership and economic power. If communities want lasting influence, they need strong institutions, business, investment, and opportunity for future generations. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons from this entire video. Instead of focusing only on what happened in the past, the creator is encouraging people to think about what can be built in the future. Now, of course not. Everyone will agree with every claim made in this video. That is normal. Topics involving history, race, economics, and society often generate different opinions. But I do think the video succeeds in getting people to ask important questions. Who contributes to the society? Who receives recognition? Who benefit economically? And what can community do to strengthen themselves moving forward? Those are the valuable discussions regardless of where someone stands, political or socially. Overall, I think This video is less about a blame, more about understanding, contribution, influence, and the importance of the building strong communities for the future. So, Black American has really played a big role in building the America, but white folks, they have been always saying that, oh, whenever really see any Black history goes viral, they always starting complaining, doing things, but Black American has really played a big role in really constructing America, making America the way it is. Really fought many years ago, but white folks, they have been always furious seeing any Black history goes viral. That is what is really happening in America. That is how really things are really moving in America, and Black American always the real Israelites, and that's why I normally say that you can really take America out of that. Now guys, I want to hear from you about this video. Do you agree with the message? Do you think Black contribution to American society receive enough recognition today? And what do you think is the best path towards creating stronger communities and create economic opportunities in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comment below. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future upload. Thank you for watching me. I'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Team Tasty Commentary, and kindly I want you guys to give this video a thumbs up. Bye for now. See you in the next one.